Ladies and mostly gentlemen, today we're going to talk about 9.1 and some very interesting things that have come up in a PC Gamer interview. So yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but before we get into that, guys, just want to thank the sponsor of this video, and that is my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to check me out streaming Shadowlands every single day, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM. Okay, so this kind of format of video is going to be a little bit different to what we're used to. Essentially, I just kind of want to make a video series where I talk about things that have come up in the data mining community, maybe stuff that Wowhead hasn't reported on, or just things that I've kind of noticed that have been kind of interesting. And I wanted to do a 9.1 video, and this article was kind of the trigger point, but I do have some other thoughts and some very interesting things that have been coming up in the Warcraft community. So, I don't know what I'm going to call it. I did put a suggestion out on Twitter. If you guys have a suggestion for it, let me know. But currently, I don't know, we'll call it the data mine or something like that. So, anyway, I digress. This is the PC Gamer interview. This came out yesterday. This is by Stephen Messner, and essentially a lot of it is just his kind of thoughts on World of Warcraft and how he feels about the game right now. He's pretty happy about it. I think the title that they tweeted out is like, World of Warcraft is at its best in years or something like that. So he's pretty happy about the state of the game. But in this interview, actually, he does mention something interesting, and I don't know if it's a prediction or he knows something or something like that, but he talks about 9.1 and the next big update of Shadowlands. So it says, it's still a little bit early to be talking about 9.1, but it's probably released this spring. Yeah. Spring, right? So yeah, he's talking about like kind of there's 3 to 4 months between the initial launch and the next patch. But yeah, he said it's still unclear if Blizzard have changed that timeline. So that's kind of his thoughts on it. Honestly, I kind of agree with him. I think spring is a realistic timeline. I know a lot of people want it a bit sooner, having the raid being done now and all of the Covenant campaigns kind of wrapped up. We still need to get to 40 renown, which I believe will actually happen in March, and presuming 9.1 will add more renown to the game, you would imagine that it's going to come after that. I doubt they're going to want to go into 9.1 while still having renown left over from 9.0. If you don't know, the actual start of spring is the 20th of March as far as I'm aware, until June. So it could be any time between that, which I guess makes sense in regards to the kind of AWC thing that we saw. I did mention this in a previous video, but the AWC schedule came out. They were talking about having the Shadowlands 9.0 finals in May, which would kind of open it up after May to patch into 9.1. But yeah, AWC, bit of a different thing there. They could use a different client for that. I'm not really sure. I don't know how much back and forth there is between the esports team and the development team there. But yeah, the schedule for the AWC does mention May as the finals for the 9.0 season. So anyway, in this article, he does actually get some words from Ian Hazzikostas, which is actually really, really great. And Ian drops some pretty big info bombs here. Now, he doesn't give away too much, but he does mention something interesting. Now, the first question that he asks is, what should players be most excited for or looking forward to in 2021 with World of Warcraft? So he says, we're thrilled to be able to build further on the foundations to tell epic stories and interconnect the different powers of the Shadowlands, heroes and villains of Azeroth, and the inner workings of death itself. So kind of hinting towards heroes and villains from Azeroth popping up, more heroes and villains, you know, thinking of people like Garrosh potentially, Varian possibly, Sourfang, people like that, you know, that's kind of the first thing that comes to my head when I think of that, you know, Arthas of course. And I think back to that other interview that was with Steve Danusa. I think he mentioned something like everything in the Afterlives video was on purpose. You know, everything was there for a reason. So Arthas, Garrosh, things like that. I feel like we're going to get a big payoff for those two characters in the Shadowlands. Potentially 9.1, potentially 9.2. Somewhere down the line, I think it'd be such a jabay if they just kind of teased it and never did anything with it. I would kind of, I'd be pretty annoyed about that. But actually talking about the content of 9.1. Now, Ian doesn't specifically mention the content of 9.1. Obviously, that's going to be saved for BlizzCon Online, which is in February. You would imagine that's going to be a huge part of the World of Warcraft slate there. 9.1, they're just going to talk about everything that's coming in that. He does mention something interesting at the bottom of the interview here, where he's talking about balance and feedback and things like that. So he says, otherwise, balance remains an ongoing focus both through hotfix adjustments to the live game and through more involved changes to player abilities, and especially new Shadowlands systems like legendaries and covenants, which will come in patches. So hinting to more major balance changes to covenants and legendaries. Also kind of saying like, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting the vibe here of like potentially hinting towards more covenants. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun there, or maybe some more legendary items. I mean, it's got to be a given at this point that we're going to be wearing more than one legendary item in 9.1. I think it's going to kind of go with the Legion way, where we're going to be slowly building up a thing where we just stack up a load of legendaries. But maybe that's not potentially what they're going for, but I would love to see that. As for more covenants, I think, yeah, with new zones, more covenants, but I don't know how that would work logistically. Would you get a free pass to change covenants, or would... I don't know. Let me know down below. But if I remember rightly, actually, didn't they hint at joining the More Covenant at BlizzCon? Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but yeah, let me know, guys, how you think, like, adding more covenants would work. I don't know, it's an interesting thought, I guess. But yeah, very interesting, very, very interesting. There's only 2 questions, unfortunately, for Ian in this one about, you know, the future of WoW and how he feels about it and everything like that. So this is actually our first piece of content we've seen from Ian this year. So obviously, 2021 going to be a massive year for World of Warcraft. The other thing that I find really, really interesting, and this is something I've been tweeting about a lot, is the PTR. The PTR has actually had a lot of activity since January, since the beginning of the year, where they're kind of squaring it up. It looks like, honestly, that they're preparing for something. So the PTR has had updates to kind of keep it in line with retail. They've been kind of embedding those hotfixes into actual builds and making it so it's like all squared up. There's no kind of hotfixes floating around. It's all just kind of embedded into the client. Everything's ready to go. And yeah, so that's pretty interesting. The one thing I guess to add on top of that is the fact that the PTR is 9.0.2 and it is the same build as retail, but for some reason it still doesn't have Shadowlands access on the PTR accounts. So they essentially act as like you don't have the expansion. So it's like pre-patch, you're kind of stuck in that, I guess. One kind of major thing that has come out of all of this kind of PTR stuff is the fact that the beta forums are now gone and they've been replaced with the Shadowlands PTR forums. So yeah, it looks like we're gearing up to some sort of 9.1 PTR very, very soon, and I'm looking forward to it, guys. I really, really am. Will we get it before BlizzCon Online? I don't know. I'm imagining something like, you know, Ian comes out, talks about 9.1, and he's like, right, by the end of the week, it's going to be on the PTR, and you guys can go and play around with it. But you never know. Maybe we'll get the data beforehand, kind of similar to how we have with like previous alphas and betas, where we get the data, the servers aren't up, Wowhead data mine the heck out of it, find all the cool stuff, and then the servers come up a couple weeks later. So we'll definitely see with that, guys. Let me know what you think about all this kind of juicy information. What do you think is going to entail in 9.1 of Shadowlands? And what do you think of like this kind of rambling, kind of news-ish video type? I want to do it for a couple of subjects. You know, if there's something that comes up that isn't, you know, essentially enough for an entire video, I can throw a load of subjects together and kind of ramble on about it. So let me know what you guys think about this kind of content. I really like doing it. It just, you know, it's kind of like streaming, but it's pre-recorded. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Before I go, guys, I'd like to give a massive shout out to my amazing patrons, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subs. You guys are awesome. And if you'd like to support the channel in any of those ways, links are down below. So leave a like on this video, guys, and subscribe if you haven't. That'd be very much appreciated. And I also have a partner Discord channel if you want to check that out. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am now streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. So yeah, I'm over there streaming Shadowlands, talking 9.1, talking future of WoW, everything like that. It's super fun. So if you guys want to check me out on stream, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM every single day. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.